I stared at the clock on the wall, willing it to go faster. Only 5 more minutes until I could escape this hellhole and head home to my husband. The day had been long and tedious, filled with endless emails, pointless meetings, and a mountain of paperwork. But knowing that I would soon be in his arms made it all worthwhile. Finally, the clock struck 5 and I gathered my things, saying quick goodbyes to my co-workers as I made my way to the exit. The evening was warm and muggy, a far cry from the air-conditioned comfort of the office. I sighed as I walked, feeling a bead of sweat trail down my back. It had been one of those days. As I approached our small suburban house, I noticed that something was off. The front door was slightly ajar and there was an unfamiliar car in the driveway. My heart raced as fear gripped me. Who could be in our house? Was someone robbing us? Slowly and quietly, I crept up to the front door and pushed it open just enough to give me a view inside. What I saw made my blood run cold. There, on our living room couch, was my husband Mike with his co-worker Sarah straddling him as they kissed passionately. My mind reeled as I tried to comprehend what I was seeing. Mike's hands were on Sarah's hips, pulling her closer as their tongues danced together. Her long brown hair cascaded around her face like a curtain as she ground her body against his. I watched in shock for another moment before anger finally overtook me. How could he do this? Betray me so casually with someone he barely knew? All thoughts of fear were replaced by seething rage. I threw open the front door and stormed into the living room, causing Mike and Sarah to jump apart guiltily. "What the hell is going on here?" I shouted, my voice filled with a mix of hurt and anger. Mike's face paled as he realized he had been caught. He stood up quickly, trying to find the right words, but no excuses or apologies would ever be enough.
I can explain," he stammered, his voice weak and unconvincing.
But I didn't want to hear his pathetic explanations. There was nothing he could say that would make this betrayal hurt any less. So instead, I turned my attention to Sarah. "How could you?" I spat, my eyes boring into hers. "You knew he was married. How could you do this to me?" Sarah's face flushed with shame as she avoided my gaze. "I'm so sorry," she muttered quietly. "It was a mistake." "A mistake?" No, this was far more than a simple mistake. This was a deliberate act of betrayal by two people who claimed to love and respect me. Tears welled up in my eyes as the full weight of their actions crashed down on me. The man I had devoted myself to for years, the man I thought I knew so well, had thrown it all away for a fleeting moment of passion with a coworker. The room fell silent as we all stood there in the aftermath of the revelation. Mike tried to reach out to me, his face filled with guilt and regret, but I couldn't bear to look at him. The sight of him made me sick. Then, that morning, something inside me snapped. All of the hurt and anger boiled over until there was nothing left but raw desire. A fire ignited within me as I looked at Mike and Sarah standing there sheepishly before me. "You know what?" I said slowly, my voice dripping with venomous sweetness. "If you two want each other so badly, then go ahead. Have each other." They both looked at me in surprise, clearly not expecting this reaction. Mike's eyes widened as he took a step towards me, concern etched on his face. "Baby, I'm so sorry," he began, but I held up a hand to stop him. "No," I said firmly. "You don't get to apologize and make everything okay. You made your choice. Now you have to live with the consequences." There was a pregnant pause as my words hung in the air between us, the weight of their meaning slowly sinking in. Then, without saying another word, I turned and walked out of the room. I could feel their eyes on me as I climbed the stairs to our bedroom and closed the door behind me. The tears that had been threatening to spill over finally broke free as I sank onto the edge of our bed. But amidst all of the pain and heartache, there was something else stirring within me. A newfound sense of liberation and power that I hadn't felt in years. For too long, I had allowed myself to be defined by my relationship with Mike. I had put his needs and desires above my own, sacrificing pieces of myself along the way. But now, it was time for things to change. I wiped away my tears and stood up, looking at myself in the mirror on our dresser. My reflection stared back at me with puffy red eyes and disheveled hair. "No more," I whispered defiantly. With a surge of determination coursing through my veins, I stripped off my clothes until I stood before the mirror completely naked. Then, with deliberate intent, I began to dress again. Out went my usual modest underwear and plain cotton bra, instead replaced by a matching set of lacy black lingerie that made me feel like a goddess. Next came a tight-fitting black dress that hugged every curve of my body in all the right places. The neckline plunged low enough to show just a hint of cleavage, and the hemline stopped just above my knees. I slipped into a pair of black stilettos that added a few inches to my height, making me feel powerful and confident. The final touch was a slit coat of red lipstick that made my lips look full and inviting. With each item I put on, I could feel something in me shifting. The old version of myself was slowly being replaced by someone new, someone stronger and more assertive. As I admired my reflection in the mirror, a sudden surge of energy coursed through me. It was as if the woman staring back at me was someone entirely different from the person I had been only moments ago. I fluffed up my hair and added a touch of mascara to my lashes, then took one last look in the mirror. Gone was the teary-eyed mess who had stormed out of the living room just minutes earlier. In her place stood a force to be reckoned with. I threw open the bedroom door and strode back downstairs with purpose. Mike and Sarah were still in the living room, their faces filled with surprise as they looked up at me. Their expressions quickly turned to awe as they took in my transformation. Mike's jaw dropped open slightly as he stared at me, his eyes filled with a mix of desire and regret. Sarah's cheeks turned pink as she looked down at the floor, clearly overwhelmed by the situation. "You two have fun," I said coolly, smiling sweetly as I met Mike's gaze. "I'm going out." With that, I grabbed my purse from where it sat on the kitchen counter and headed for the front door. As I stepped outside into the warm night air, a sense of freedom washed over me like never before. Mike called after me, but his words were drowned out by the sound of my own laughter echoing in my ears. For so long, he had taken me for granted, assuming that I would always be there waiting for him no matter what. But not anymore. This was my moment to take back control of my own life and show him just how strong I could be. And if it happened to involve a little revenge along the way, well, that was just an added bonus. As I climbed into my car and pulled out of the driveway, a sense of exhilaration coursed through me. The possibilities of the night ahead stretched out before me like an open road, and I couldn't wait to see where it would take me. I turned up the radio and let the music fill the car as I drove away from everything that was familiar, leaving behind a past that no longer served me. The future was uncertain but full of promise, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly alive.